It is time to bring the human back into the experience of your business. And I am so excited to introduce to you to amazing people. And in this podcast, Amplify Your Marketing Message, today we're sitting down with Hunter Myers. She is an amazing both graphics designer, interior designer, and someone who's going to help talk to us about the human journey. I'm really excited to sit down today to talk about how to get to know your customer at a human level. So bring back the humans. Oh my God, please, please, please. Welcome, 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 Hunter, to our program. Thank you for being our guest today.
Yes, thanks for having me on, Christine. I'm so excited to have this conversation. The human element is something that I feel like as a lot of online businesses are really getting started is kind of missing. And so super pumped. I know that this was a topic that you were also interested in because you'd written something about it, right?
I had, because I see everywhere the buzz about AI and automation. And it's not to say that those aren't important things. However, they're not the only things. And truly, if you're going to distinguish yourself in the world of business and you're going to want to choose who you play with and create more fun in your business, that really comes down to a human and not a bot. So, welcome to the show. I want to talk to us. How do you start to build trust online, and why is being a human a non-negotiable in your opinion?
Yeah. So some of the things I tell people a lot of the time is to build trust. I mean, again, online, we're seeing a lot of people who maybe aren't as real as we'd like, or we're seeing things that we're comparing ourselves to. So first and foremost, and I know we say it all the time, but showing up authentically is really, really important. Thinking about the human that you are trying to connect with on the other side of the screen, and really have them top of mind when you are creating content, when you're writing copy, when you are building a brand. To build that trust, you have to understand who the person is first so that you know what they need to see in order to trust you.
This, I think, is so fascinating because honestly, the number of times I get involved as a business mentor or even as a consultant where I get brought in and they say something's not working, we're not converting clients, we're not seeing business growth, or we're not, even more importantly, staying ahead of attrition, where we're graduating clients into the solution, and then what comes next. The biggest surprise to me is that most businesses have no clue, or not enough of a clue, of who they're actually serving and what motivates them, what feels important to them. And they say, don't guess, go talk to somebody.
Yes.
It's not more complicated than that. But if you don't know who they are, you have got a really dangerous roll of the dice that you're going to attract the right people into your space. Would you agree?
Exactly. I agree 100%. Knowing who your buyer is one of the most important parts of developing your business and your marketing. I tell people all the time, if you don't have a buyer, you just have a hobby. And the really, really important thing there is knowing what that buyer needs to see, what they need to hear, what they need to especially feel
Mm.
in order to then become your buyer.
And because we are feeling, and not everyone, jumps in and lives their emotions out loud or right from the very first moment. What do you recommend when you're working with people, when you're, putting content out yourself? Where do you start?
Yeah. So I really feel like a lot of this goes back to, I mean, we're talking before we even start to create anything. I tell people you need to look at your buyer as a romantic partner. So you are going to essentially date your buyer. So what do you do? What do you do in the process of that? Well, number one, you're going to ask them questions. I tell people that your brand is a marriage between your business and your buyers. And most people are not getting married before they speak to the person that they're trying to marry. And so get on the phone if you can, sit down. I created a mini course about this where really what you do is you can go online. So first we have demographics, right? So I tell people this is the kind of the what of your buyer. It's the basic information, super top level. And then from there, look in your network and see who you have in your network that you can get on the phone with who fits that what, so you can ask them questions to figure out the how and the why. And that's kind of that first part of the dating. You're figuring out, is first and foremost, is this person who they say they are? Are habits going to link up? Are motivations the same? I'm not trying to get into a long-term relationship with someone where my motivations and dreams are completely different from theirs. There's going to be clash throughout the process. And sometimes that clash isn't going to come up right off the bat, So really sitting down and diving deep into who these people are is going to tell you how you can then show up for them, whether that be content creation, like I said, or the messaging, or even a full on brand in general, to attract them, to then make them feel comfortable and safe. Because remember, you're not the only person dating here. They're also dating you. And there are plenty of fish in the sea right now, especially in the market that we currently have. I mean, your product or service is not the only version of your product or service. Like, there
Mhm.
are plenty of other people out there who sell a very similar product or service. And so your ability to connect with that buyer is what is going to turn them into that long-term happy marriage, that happy relationship, the person that stays there with you over time.
What I love, and it's certainly true because many people that I service are creatives. They're looking for long-term support. We're looking at recurring revenue as a business model. And I say, if you don't go into this thinking long-term, we have a fundamental problem. One, you're
Mhm.
not in the right room because you're not somebody I will likely want to partner and work with. And I say, when you're looking long-term, recognize two things: that you can't rush the process. Yeah, I love that you're saying both sides are evaluating, do I want to play long term? And once the, first romantic buzz wears off, are we committed to the same things? Do we have the same value? Do we have safety and trust in this relationship? And remember, when someone chooses to invest in your services, the first thing they're doing is making a declaration: I trust you to be the guide to help me. And so often, we as business owners, especially service based individuals, say, you know what, my first thing I want to do with you is get you on a discovery call. I'm like, stop that. Because that feels like going right past dating to marriage. It's like, I don't know if I want to do that. But if you approach this as a long-term vision, a constant assessment of, are we a good
Mm,
match, and saying, let me take you through several get to know you stages, chances are you're going to have more effective results. And I love the
exactly.
fact that you're saying, hey, marriage is a journey. What's important for the long-term success is evolve.
Mhm.
Be
And
prepared to
media Exactly, and meet each other where you're at. So you bring up the discovery call, which is huge. I think people, like you said, skip those first steps. That's not where your buyer or your potential date is necessarily at. They're not ready to come home and meet your parents if they've not talked to you before. That's not the step we're at. You can't just jump there. They're gonna run away. And so I think that's such a brilliant point that's often overlooked and something that's kind of sold in a lot of other kind of systems and processes that people talk about, is this idea of, oh, just get them on the call, get them on the call. But before you can do that, just like you said, you have to get them primed and ready to feel comfortable enough to get on the phone with
Yeah.
you.
To ask you the question, tell me what it's like to be committed in a committed relationship. The other fabulous insight that I thought you shared was, remember, we're not the only people dating, and there are other choices out there in the marketplace. So take me through when you're crafting the dating analogy and working people equally towards commitment and away if they're not the right audience. How do you take them on the buyer journey, and how do you ensure that you don't get to be robotic in the process?
Mm. Yeah, so that is such a great question, because it is very easy to kind of try to cast that wide net, and in doing so, you wind up feeling very robotic. So to keep that flow and to keep the emotionality in it, number one, I mean, I know we don't all like video, which is fine, but one of the great ways to connect with people and bring that human element in that isn't so robotic is conversational
Mhm.
video work, if you can get your writing to be conversational as well, that is very helpful. Bringing again, the human element and a conversation style into what you create
Mhm.
really helps remove that robotic feel for people when they're interacting with you, especially again online, where most of us are interacting at this point.
I think there is the thing. I remember taking a walk maybe even a year ago in my business and was thinking about how do I want to be perceived. And one of the things that came around in my head was I want to be viewed as a bestie. And what I mean by that is someone who's going to be truthful to you, create that safe space, but at the same time, there's a balance between I am going to cheer you on and tell you you are getting in your own way with great love and compassion. So get yourself together. And it's interesting because it doesn't have to be video, but to know you care is so, so important. And I know we're going to have other episodes that talk a lot about the human element because I'm so passionate about it, but show you care, voice notes, thoughtful cards, ways you can say, I just wanted to know that I'm glad you're in my space. Thinking
Yes, and
simple things don't have to be hard. They don't have to be Valentine's and 24 red roses. Although, if that's your person, that's your audience, that's what they want, know that. But what can
mhm.
you do to romance and show you care? Not because it's expected, because honestly, you feel it.
Yes, and I love the point you brought up to know what your audience wants. Because again, you could deliver the, 24 roses and the really sappy card and that not be what your audience is looking for. And that
Mhm.
could be the thing that honestly maybe turns them away as well. So spending time doing that investigating and really learning them so you know how to show up and care for them is absolutely crucial in the branding and the marketing process.
And I'm going to flip that conversation even further because what happens is this is about you wooing them. It's okay to have them woo you too, especially when I'm in the space of working with high ticket clients. I said, you can use the a word which I hate, so please don't, but if you do, okay, whatever. It's like apply. And I said, I want to talk about why are we a good fit? I want you to also at the same time tell me why you're ready.
Mhm.
Because if we're going to take the big step into marriage, and in my case, it's a commitment for a period of time because I said we're not solving the world's challenge, in this case, creating a successful and thriving business in a nanosecond. We're going to walk through some things. I said, some days you're going to love me because I'm going to help you. And other days it's going to frustrate you because I'm like, hold you to the accountability piece because that is what you need in a bestie. And I think it's important to recognize that you too are equal to this partnership, not just going to become that, I'm going to say, self giving, overly generous, overly doormat like. No, 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 no. That's not the encouragement here. This is a partnership where both sides are helping each other to be the very best that they can be.
Yes, I love that.
All right. So I want to know. I think these are awesome, guys. We really would do need to bring the human back. How do you know when you are seeing success? Dating
Mm.
number. How do you know? How can you tell what's like one of the clues that we can do, or sometimes realize if we're off course and have a maybe bit of a human element to reset?
Yeah, so I feel like one of the big things, and especially for me, is listening to your gut. Like if you're getting a lot of hesitation around something, especially around the way that you are communicating something, there's a good chance that that means that it's not aligning with your side of that partnership. Like there's something that's not aligning with you. And yes, the business is very much about your buyer, but it's also your business. So you have
Mhm,
to make sure that you feel good showing up in it as well. And then look at how your audience is responding.
mhm.
Are they, putting in the comments, "Oh my gosh, this is really resonating with me," or "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad someone finally said this." Or are you getting through with calls with clients and they're saying, "Oh my god, like this opened my eyes to something I hadn't thought about before." Like they will tell you a lot of the time, like you will get those nuggets and they will tell you. And if you're not getting that response, you can always reach out. Like I said, we're going to go back to that step one, reach out and ask people,
Mhm.
contact your ideal buyers, contact the people that you are trying to date and ask them. One of the best parts of like a strong relationship is communication.
Mhm.
And that same thing is true for your buyers and your business. It's okay to ask, like, hey, is this resonating with you? Or even ask, send a couple of things. Can you tell me which of these is hitting you closest, or which of these makes you feel, X, Y, and Z, whatever emotion you're trying to make them feel. And if none of them are, then go back to the drawing board. I mean, business, I tell people all the time, this is just a giant science experiment. Okay, we're just testing hypotheses, we're showing up, we're doing our little experiment, we're seeing what works, we're getting rid of what doesn't, and we're going up and trying it again. And so just be okay with that. Dating's the same thing. You're learning this other person. Some things are gonna be great. Some things you're both gonna be like, well, hot damn, I probably shouldn't have done that. So let's circle back and try
Let's talk
again.
about it. What happened? Where did it go
Exactly.
astray?
Exactly. So just be open to the communication with yourself, but also communication with your audience and your ideal buyers.
And that's why one of the most important things I know I do in my business, and you've seen some of my clients here on this podcast already, and you'll see more down the road. I always take time regularly to hold in stillness. Are you getting what you need? Do you feel supported? What is missing? Or what is maybe at the wrong pace, so that ultimately we stay in sync, which is the essential of a strong long-term friendship and marriage. And when you know it's working, you're right. You hear it, because I have clients that say, I just want you to know I'm staying long-term. I'm like, we're not near a negotiation yet. And they're like, I've already made that decision. That's what you want. That's what it looks like. It has been fantastic. I love this conversation so much because it's so up my alley in terms of what I want us to be showing up, because this is truly how we will amplify our business. It's how we will also separate ourselves from the sea of sameness. So I want to know, because you are a business owner in your own independent right, regardless of the things you're doing to serve other clients. I talk about with amplifying what's working right now. And I want to know, what is working for you as a business owner right now in this moment, in this season, to create success on your journey?
Yeah, so at this point in my business, I am in the process of separating myself from solopreneur into more of that CEO mindset. And so a lot of what's been working for me is actually a lot of just self-discovery. I kind of stumbled into, I tell people I like tripped and face planted into entrepreneurship. This is not what my plan was. I mean, I was a graphic designer prior to this, and so I was like, oh, like I'll just be a graphic designer and then add these extra hats. But after really sitting down and reflecting on what skills I really have and like what my strengths are versus what my weaknesses are, I was able to see a lot of the areas in which I was actually holding myself back in my business, and what I can now do to start handing, and that's the key, handing some of those weaknesses off to someone else. Right now, it's just starting with like a template, which sounds small. It sounds small, but learning to let go of having to do it all myself is absolutely the phase of this journey that I am in. And it's something that has opened doors for, this next sprint and marathon within the business, but also the life that I'm building for myself.
So
So
love that.
really, yeah, just reflect, find what works for you. Really sit down with your why too. Guys, I started this business about 3 years ago. My why has changed
Mhm.
over the last 3 years. And when I first started, I thought, oh well, it's just gonna be the same, right? We do this once, we're good. No, no,
No.
this is something that you have to do, right? Right. Like a business is like a growing child. You're gonna come back to it. You're gonna learn new things about it. You're gonna learn new things about yourself. So that's absolutely been the biggest game changer for me at this phase right
I
now.
absolutely love it. And I'm celebrating you for that moment, because the recognition that just because I can do it doesn't mean I should. And one of the things I will gift you is, just disappear, is saying, retain the things that are fun, even if they're not rational, because this is your journey. This is the business you are creating. And honestly, if you're not having fun in your business, we need to get you in the room to figure that out, unpack it, and take a course correction. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you, Hunter, here on Amplify Your Marketing Message. How do people find you?
Yes, so you can connect with me on Instagram at Verger Design Co. That's V as in Victor, D as in dog, Design Co. You can find me online as well. My website, vergerdesignco.com. I had mentioned my free mini course previously as well. That is on my website, just vergerdesignco.com/swipe right. So if you really want to get down to dating those customers, that'll walk you through all of it. Find me on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. Just Hunter Myers. I've got probably red lipstick on in the photo, so it should be pretty easy to find. Love it.
Got to find the red lipstick, guys. That's an indication of confidence. Thank you, guys. I want you to hook up with Hunter and make sure that you follow what she's all about. It is time to start seeing your prospects as human, you showing up as human. Enjoy the dating. It's the funnest bit. You should always be dating, even within your marriage. And from us, we are signing off. This is Amplify Your Marketing Message. We will see you on our next episode. Be sure you're getting out there to create the life you want. If you need help, come find us. We're here to support you. We'll see you on our next episode.